Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lindsay Daniller. I'm with Reach Edmonton, and on behalf of the entire organizing committee today, we want to welcome you to Edmonton's Sexual Exploitation Week of Awareness, and this is the opening ceremony. We are very pleased to welcome amongst our guests MLA Rod Loyola, who will be speaking in a few moments, Councillor Scott McKean, also speaking in a few moments, Councillor Andrew Knack, who is in the audience with us. If there are any other councillors, I'm sure they'll make themselves known. We also have Amanda Woodward, who is playing so beautifully for us today, Kathleen Quinn, who is familiar to many of you in this community for her really relentless work in this particular field, and Inspector Dwayne Lacusta, who is with us as well, representing EPS. The Sexual Exploitation Working Group is an Edmonton-based leadership collaboration to create awareness of sexual exploitation and its causes and impacts. And Reach is always very proud to be a member of this. As Kathleen reminds us, there is a long history that predates Reach and the linkages to community safety in Edmonton. We're one of the partners in this week's activities. Our role is to be a backbone, community-based organization. We try and mobilize various groups to come together, to align their activities with the community, and to find those innovative solutions to all of the many issues that we see in front of us as Edmontonians. As we begin, I do want to respectfully recognize that we are meeting on the traditional land of Treaty 6 territory. This is the traditional territory of the diverse Indigenous peoples whose ancestors' footsteps have marked this territory for centuries. They include Cree, Dene, Saulteaux, Blackfoot, Nakota Sioux, as well as the Métis and the Inuit. We are dedicated to working together with these diverse communities and with the settlers. Many of us fit into this category from around the world. I would now like to invite Amanda to come forward and to do a bit of playing, as some of you were here a few moments ago so very beautifully as our flute player. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
Amanda, thank you so very much. And I gather the name is a married name of Lamotte, so our apologies, Amanda Lamotte. Thank you very much, Amanda. Our next speaker is Kathleen Quinn, who is the Executive Director of CEASE, the Center to End All Sexual Exploitation, and chair of this group that brings this wonderful week to you, the Sexual Exploitation Working Group, otherwise known as SEWG. Kathleen.
Good afternoon. It's very important that we gather in this very public place to pause and remember. You'll see before you these flowers, colored orange. They are to remind us of all those who have lost their lives or been stolen from us in over 35 years in Edmonton. I just spoke by email with a woman whose daughter was found murdered on April 16th, 11 years ago. The families and the siblings and the children live with their loss always. I remember in 2005 that after the third young woman was murdered, we went to our legislature steps and we said, we need to stop this. We need to invest in what will help people keep living so that we are not only left with homicide investigations. Right now, we only know of 11 persons responsible for these more than 38 deaths. And we know that we carry those who are missing and stolen from us always in our hearts. The action of remembering compels us to keep taking action so that we prevent more deaths and more losses. I ask that we pause for a moment of silence to remember all the children, youth, and adults who have died and are missing, and to remember their families and communities who grieve their loss, and to carry within our hearts the commitment to action to end sexual exploitation and all of its harm in Edmonton.
Thank you, Kathleen. Each year, there are a variety of people who come and join us for this wonderful event. And this year, we are really delighted that, is this the first time, Kathleen? For the first time, we have an MLA with us. So we are incredibly pleased that this has happened, and we thank MLA Rod Loyola for coming and for bringing greetings. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that introduction, and thank you all for joining us today to mark the proclamation of the 2016 Sexual Exploitation Week of Awareness. On behalf of Premier Rachel Notley, it's my pleasure to bring greetings from the Government of Alberta. And I'm honored to join you today in the territory of Treaty 6, in the heart of the provincial capital. Sexual exploitation is a problem that is deeply entrenched in our history and in our society. It is a tragedy in itself and part of the larger tragedy of trafficking and human exploitation as a whole. As an advocate supporting the work of the Action Coalition on Human Trafficking Alberta, I discovered some terrible facts about trafficking and exploitation. We know that the victims of exploitation often know the people who exploit them. We know that anyone can be a victim of exploitation, and we know that anyone can be an exploiter. We know that exploitation is happening right now, right here in Alberta. Perhaps most sadly, as we know from Kathleen Quinn's moving tribute, the victims of sexual exploitation sometimes pay the ultimate price and die as a result of their situation or their trauma that they have experienced. Our government is committed to maintaining and strengthening the social institutions that help people live with dignity and safety in their own communities. We have committed to supporting education, for as we know, education is one of the greatest liberators, one of the key ingredients in a successful and safe life. We have become committed to funding a strong healthcare system so that people are supported through times of ill health and so that they can be healed when they need help. As I said above, we know that anyone can be an exploiter. However, we also know that the overwhelming majority of people who suffer from sexual exploitation are women. And I don't think that sexual exploitation is the only way that women are disadvantaged in our society. That's why I'm particularly proud to be part of a government that created the first independent ministry for the status of women. In addition to other tasks, this ministry is focused on helping to end violence against women and bringing an end to human trafficking. We know that there is much work to be done, and we know that organizations like those who are represented here today are doing tremendous work by raising public awareness of the problem of sexual exploitation and by working together with other like-minded groups to try and stop it. As a province and as a society, we benefit greatly from the work of the not-for-profits, the municipal and other government agencies who are represented here today. I would especially like to congratulate the Sexual Exploitation Working Group, which I understand has been a catalyst for community action for over 12 years in Edmonton. So thank you for all that you do. Yes, a round of applause, please. I'd like to end on a personal note. As an immigrant to Canada from Chile fleeing the military coup that took place there in the 1970s, we didn't know what to expect from our new country. Year after year, the longer I live here, the more I am profoundly grateful that we came to a province, to Alberta. The people who band together today to proclaim the 2016 Sexual Exploitation Week of Awareness are the kind of people who make Alberta a great place to live. And I'm truly honored to be speaking in front of all of you today. So once again, thank you to everyone, and especially for giving me an opportunity to share in this moment with all of you. Hi.
Thank you very much, and they are welcome words by everyone who works so hard for all of these communities and in the agency. So thank you very much for sharing that with us today. Now you'll see the faces of all of those hardworking people from all of these agencies. I'm going to introduce members of SEWG, the Sexual Exploitation Working Group. This collaborative includes community partners, law enforcement, municipal government, provincial government, and Reach Edmonton. The group is concerned for those who are vulnerable to sexual exploitation, including sex trafficking, due to age, financial desperation, migration, homelessness, prior childhood abuse or neglect, mental or physical health conditions, intergenerational trauma, addictions, or any other circumstance that contributes to vulnerability. I'm going to ask the SEWG representatives in attendance to stand. I'm going to call the organizations, and those of you who are with those organizations, if you would stand or give a wave, and we will know that you're here. ACT Alberta, Bent Arrow Traditional Healing Society, Catholic Social Services, PASICA, CEASE, the City of Edmonton, Edmonton and Area Child and Family Services. There we go, thank you. The Edmonton Police Service, the Vice Section, and Reach Edmonton. I know there are a couple of team members here. The Sexual Assault Center of Edmonton, and the Family Center. Thank you all. Somebody should have stood when and they haven't, so give a wave at least. We want to thank you all for your incredible hard work to put a week like this together, as well as the 12 months of the year, the other 12 months that we don't see from you publicly and know all the amazing hard work that you do. So thank you, all of you. So now, on behalf of all of you, I'm going to ask Kathleen to come forward together with Councillor McKean to do the proclamation.
Well, yeah. Let me take this opportunity first of all to thank all those groups that Lindsay just named, because as I was sitting there, I was thinking about what makes a democracy work and what makes a community work. It's all the people working at the ground level in the community and then coming to council and demanding that we make better decisions on your behalf. I notice today the gender makeup of this audience. And I really wanted to thank the men for coming out. To me, this is the challenge we have ahead of us, is changing attitudes in our community towards these issues. And there are glimmers of hope that I want to talk about. First of all, I want to point out my colleague, Andrew Knack. Andrew, you have to stand up. Councillor Andrew Knack, who has been a real soldier on the front lines of women's issues. And I think that's really significant. As a young man on council, he clearly just stepped up right away. So I think we're seeing changes in attitudes in the emerging generation. I want to talk about Men Edmonton, a group that is out there changing attitudes in our community. And they brought a wonderful word to me. It really, because I've been sort of struggling with how we don't have a gender war over these issues, how we can all work together on these issues. And Men Edmonton used this term masculinities, plural. So we know that there are some definitions of masculinity out there that are not helpful. Hyper-competitive, hyper-masculine, macho, maybe ride a noisy motorcycle. I don't know, maybe. But those don't help. But there are other definitions of masculinity that I think many of us want to subscribe to and would have nothing to do with exploiting women or harming men, for that matter. I want to acknowledge that we're on Treaty 6 territory as well, because in part because of the elders I've met. The elders I've met are, the male elders I've met are they're so gentle, and they're so soft-spoken, and they're so compassionate, and they're so kind, that I think there's a tremendous example of masculinity in our Indigenous community. And I think there's tremendous examples of masculinity emerging from the young men in Men Edmonton. So I really think there are glimmers of hope out there, that attitudes are changing. We must continue to do that. I want to again thank SEWG, the Sexual Exploitation Working Group, and Reach for all the work they do to educate people and work with people around this issue. And I really do believe the City of Edmonton is committed to continuing to build partnerships with groups like Reach and SEWG and others to make this a more just and fair and compassionate and welcoming and safe community for all of us. And I would as a way to mark that, I would like to invite Kathleen Quinn up now to accept this proclamation from the City of Edmonton, and I will read it, if you don't mind, if my glasses work. Whereas sexual exploitation crosses all social and economic boundaries, and whereas sexual exploitation is a significant issue in Edmonton, affecting individuals, their families, and our communities. And whereas community organizations, law enforcement, government agencies, and elected leaders are collaborating to address and prevent sexual exploitation. And whereas raising awareness of the effects of sexual exploitation can help remove its stigma and provide opportunities for victims to heal, therefore, I, Scott McKee, on behalf of Mayor Don Iveson, do hereby proclaim April 18th to 22nd, 2016, Sexual Exploitation Week of Awareness in Edmonton, Alberta's capital city. There you go, Kay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We appreciate all of the good words and deeds. The next person I'm going to introduce is sitting on my far left. It's Inspector Lacusta, who is with the Edmonton Police Service. We do recognize that the activities during this week include many vulnerable people. They can be children or adults. They can experience sexual exploitation on the street, on chat lines, on the internet, and buy and sell sites, at house parties or trick pads in apartment buildings. We also have to face the fact that sex trafficking can occur in regulated massage parlors, escort agencies, and exotic dancing venues. And so the Edmonton Police Service is actively involved in combating sexual exploitation. They respond to pleas for help from families reporting missing persons and neighbors concerned about street activities, the ones that are not legal, of course. They also investigate assaults, murders, and work to arrest those who recruit vulnerable persons and those who profit through pimping and human sex trafficking. So if I can invite Inspector Lacusta to come up and bring his information and greetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay. MLA, councillors, Kathleen, dignitaries, partners, friends, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. On behalf of the Edmonton Police Service and Chief Rod Connect, I would like to begin by welcoming everyone in attendance and offering our sincere thanks for this opportunity to be involved in this Sexual Exploitation Week of Awareness Proclamation ceremony. I would also like to openly recognize the important work being carried out by the Sexual Exploitation Working Group here in Edmonton, and publicly thank all those organizations that have formed this partnership with the collective goal of challenging, informing, and empowering all Edmontonians to end sexual exploitation. A major tenet of the EPS vision is to make Edmonton the safest major city in Canada. This ideal is a cornerstone of our organization and is at the foundation of everything that we do. Simply put, improving public safety is the core business of the EPS and ensuring the welfare and protection of the entire population. After all, the general public is the EPS's primary stakeholder and includes all citizens, businesses, and visitors of our fine city. To deliver on this mission, the EPS requires the assistance of many like-minded agencies and individuals. We not only rely on the dedicated professional individuals within our ranks, but we also recognize and require the assistance from people and organizations such as those that are here being represented. People like you assist us every day because you share an interest in seeing our community succeed. We recognize that collaboration and relationship building is vital to the goal and guides us in how we interact with the public. Partnerships are essentials to the EPS's business model. We interact with so many diverse individuals, groups, and organizations during the course of our everyday work that it would be virtually impossible to effectively police the city without having established these great relationships. Specific to investigations relating to sexual exploitation, we are very fortunate to partner with several dedicated and passionate organizations that are again represented here today. As the officer in charge of the Edmonton Police Service Organized Crime Branch, I'm responsible for a wide range of investigations and areas that strive towards investigative excellence in order to effectively confront the many crimes that bring so much pain to so many people within our city. We are keenly aware that these crimes have a social impact on the entire city and all our citizens. So we must continue to work collaboratively with our partners to develop proactive strategies to deal with all criminal activity. The primary objective of the Vice Unit is to protect children and our most at-risk citizens from being drawn into the sexual services industry and being exploited by those who choose to prey upon their vulnerabilities. We will continue to focus on fostering effective relationships with all persons involved in the sexual services industry and direct our enforcement efforts at those who choose to exploit the vulnerable. This week of awareness concludes with a 2-day professional conference, the theme being Collaborative Efforts for Change. I've reviewed the syllabus and I'm encouraged to see that the conference will cover such a wide-ranging selection of topics. There will be something for everyone to learn from, to become passionate about, and hopefully then assist in confronting the issues around sexual exploitation. On behalf of the Edmonton Police Service and Chief Rod Connect, I can assure you that all these topics and discussions are equally meaningful to the women and men within our service. Thank you for your time and have a wonderful week.
Thank you so much. A vital partner in our community, and we certainly always appreciate everything the police service does for us. So thank you very much. Thank you. As many of you can see in this audience, we are wearing orange today. It's always a source of much conversation in our office as to what will be worn this year and what tone of orange it will be: coral, orange, light, dark. It's an incredibly important symbol that we all put on this week. It's associated with freedom movements around the world. It symbolizes change, which at this time of the year, in spring, is so very appropriate. Energy and the warmth of compassion. Anti-human trafficking organizations around the world use this color, and in Edmonton, we stand in solidarity with those initiatives by wearing this color. And we encourage you to wear some little bit of orange all week. And the best new addition to this week is that the high-level bridge will also be wearing orange this week, and particularly tonight. So that is always a spectacular sight when the bridge is wearing the color of whatever event it is that week. So well done to everybody who made that happen. So thank you. Also, this is a busy week for everyone, and I'm going to just bring your attention to a couple of those events. Dwayne referred to the conference. So on Thursday, April the 21st, there is a free public event, and it features keynote speaker Kathy King and moderator Chris Chang Yen Phillips. The discussion includes the dynamics of exploitation, of vulnerability in families today, the dynamics of denial in the community, and the monumental shift of consciousness that must occur to create universal equality and respect for women. This 1.5-day professional conference on the 21st and 22nd will explore and discuss collaborative efforts for change, and participants will experience engaging speakers and topics that focus on sexual exploitations, its causes and impacts. And just before I got out here, it's the public event, correct, that is actually sold out, it seems. But the good news is that it will be webcasted, and you will find that on the SEWG social media site as well as on the Reach Edmonton site. So you don't have to be left out. You can still see it webcasted, and I know our guys do an incredible job. The keynotes for the conference include Corinne Bruno and Aaron Paquette. So just visit our websites just in case. So I just want to thank you all for being here today, for giving your energy and effort, as everyone has said, Have a wonderful day and a wonderful week, and we hope to see you out helping and protecting our community. Thank you very much.